Now for this section, we're going to introduce some basic angles and the trig ratios associated with those very important angles. And the angles that are important are, you ready? 45 degrees, 30 degrees, and 60 degrees, okay? Because practically everything will eventually lead back to these angles or you're using them. They're very common in trig. So the first right triangle that we're going to talk about is the 45, 45, 90 triangle. And if you memorize this triangle, you will be able to get all of the trig functions associated with 45 degrees. Let's do it. Well, here's 45. Notice that 45 plus 45, you guys, is 90. Cool? So the sine of 45 degrees is opposite over hypotenuse. So it's 1 over the square root of 2. Now we can get the cosecant quite easily by just doing the reciprocal of the sine, and that's just going to be square root of 2 over 1, which is just square root of 2. Good? Now what about cosine? Well, cosine of 45 is adjacent over hypotenuse. Good? Which is 1 over the square root of 2 again. So the secant's going to be square root of 2 over 1, or square root of 2. Now what about the tangent? Well, the tangent of 45 is opposite over adjacent, which is 1 over 1, or 1. So the cotangent's going to be 1 over 1, or 1. Now the only issue that we're going to have here is, yep, you guessed it, radicals in the basement. So I'm going to multiply by square root of 2 over square root of 2. So I end up with square root of 2. Square root of 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 4, which is 2. And the cosine will be the same. Okay? So in general, a lot of places want you to get that radical out of the denominator, but that's how you do it. Next. Now the next triangle is called the 30, 60, 90 triangle. And this is the setup. The side opposite the 30-degree angle will always be half of the hypotenuse. So if your hypotenuse is 50, the side opposite the 30-degree angle, if it's a 30, 60, 90 triangle, would be 25. And the side opposite the 60-degree angle will always be the side of the 30-degree angle, in this case it's 1, times the square root of 3. Okay, so it's the side opposite the 30-degree angle times the square root of 3. That is equal to the side opposite the 60-degree angle. Fantastic. Now, all we have to do is just do our thing here. And then we're going to talk about cofunctions. Because 30 and 60, if I add them together, I get 90. So it's like an alpha beta situation. Okay, so here we go. Sine of 30 is the side opposite 30, which is 1, over the hypotenuse, which is 2. Blam, let's get cosecant, which is 2 over 1, or 2. Good? Now the cosine is 30 is going to be the side adjacent to it, which is square root of 3, over the hypotenuse, which is 2. The secant will be 2 over square root of 3. And immediately you're jumping down, realizing that I have to get that radical out of the basement. I just multiply the top and the bottom by the square root of 3. So it's 2 square root of 3 over 3. Good? And tangent is opposite over adjacent. So it's 1 over square root of 3. So the cotangent will be square root of 3 over 1, or square root of 3. But the only thing I need more to do is to get this radical out of the basement. Good? So it's square root of 3 over 3. Fantastic. Now, the next thing we're going to do, you guys, is this. Let's talk 60. And everything with the 60, you guys, first I'm going to erase some of the 30 stuff so it gets it out of the way. But everything with the 60, I'm going to do in red, so that you'll be able to deal. The sine of 60 will be square root of 3 over 2. The cosine of 60, I'm just going to go down here, will be 1/2, and the tangent of 60 is square root of 3 over 1, which is square root of 3. Good? Now you'll notice that the sine of 30 is the same as the cosine of 60. What is that called? The co-functions, right? Nito Guido? Awesome. Now I can just flip things around. Everything's hunky-dory. Cotangent will be 1 over square root of 3. Rationalizing, which will be square root of 3 over 3. Let's flipperino that one, 2 over 1, which is 2. Flipperino that one, 2 over square root of 3. Again, rationalizing, I get 2 square root of 3 over 3. Perfecto amundo. If you just memorize the triangles, like just write down the triangles and what the sides are, you'll be able to read the trig functions right off those triangles, and I really think that's going to be helpful to you. Last but not least, just puts this in a table so you can memorize them if you want to, okay? So here is the deal. The sine of 30, we just got that on the other page. Let's do that in blue, is going to be 1/2. The cosine of 30 is square root of 3 over 2. Good? Sine of 45 is square root of 2 over 2. Cosine of 45 is square root of 2 over 2. Sine of 60 is square root of 3 over 2. Cosine of 60 is 1/2. Now the tangent, this cool thing is tangent is sine of an angle over cosine of an angle. So the tangent of 30 is the sine of 30 over the cosine of 30. Well, the sine of 30 degrees is 1/2. The cosine of 30 degrees is square root of 3 over 2. So if we go to do this, it's going to be 1/2 divided by square root of 3 over 2, which is 1/2 times 2 over square root of 3. So the tangent is 1 over square root of 3 of 30 degrees, tangent of 30. So this will be square root of 3 over 3. Now you're like, why can't I just write the triangle and do it? Absolutely. Absolutely. The tangent of 45 is 1. And now let's figure out the tangent of 60. The tangent of 60 is the sine of 60 over the cosine of 60, which is equal to square root of 3 over 2 over 1/2. And when you do the math on that, you'll end up with regular square root of 3 over 1, or square root of 3. Now, lots of times, it's awesome to have the exact trig values. These are exact, no rounding, no nothing. But sometimes, when you are solving equations and things like that, and you're trying to figure out feet, an approximation will be quite nice for these, okay? Now, the 1/2s, I'm all good with, you know. Sine of 30 is 1/2, which is 0.5. Cosine of 60 is 0.5. Tangent of 45 is 1. Those are all nice exact values, but they can be easily represented as decimals. Okay, so now the other ones are the sine of 45 would be 2, and they went 4 decimal places here. It would be 0.7071. The sine of 60 degrees would be 0.8660. And all I'm doing is doing the square root of 3 over 2 in my calculator. The cosine of 30 degrees would be 0.8660. The cosine of 45 is the same thing as the sine of 45. Good. The tangent of 30 is 0.5774 approximately. And the tangent of 60 is 1.7321. Cool? Now you're going to be able to use these exact values to do the homework assignment associated with this lesson. Good luck and have a great time doing the math.